Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I step off the train and deliver an episode to you while I walk home. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good afternoon, listeners. It is a lovely day here in suburban Chicago. It is February, and it's winter, but it's the sort of warmer February winter that says we're on our way towards spring. It's not quite as biting as it has been previous days. It's just a little more cold, or a little more warm, although I don't think we're above 32 yet, so I don't think anything's melting. But nonetheless, that's where we are. Well, I'm excited to talk to you again because it's been a few days since I did one of these, and since then I've had an opportunity to play some new games. That means it's time for Shooting from the Hip Triple Shot. For those of you new to the podcast, Shooting from the Hip Triple Shot is a quick review segment that I do, reacting to early plays of games that I've just tried for the first time. So what I do is I wait until I've played 3 games that I haven't played before, and then I do brief reviews of each. I used to not call these reviews, but I feel like that's splitting hairs in a way that's not that useful. So, whatever, I've gotten over that. So to start us off, first we have Three Sisters. Three Sisters is a new roll and write game from Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle and Motor City Gameworks, and I think 25th Century Games is the co-publisher there. I backed this on Kickstarter based on the pedigree of the designers, and I've played it 3 times now and enjoyed it all 3 times. What this is it's a game built around, the theme is built around Native American planting, or an indigenous planting tradition called Three Sisters, in which you plant corn and beans and a member of the squash family, like pumpkins, all near each other, and the plants have a kind of reciprocal or symbiotic relationship. The corn provides a vertical structure for the beans to climb, and the beans provide nutrients in the soil that the corn uses, and the squash provides sort of these, or the squash family, like pumpkins, provide these big leafy overgrowth that protects the other plants from weeds and that sort of thing. This is discussed a little bit in the back of the rulebook. They kind of acknowledge the provenance of this idea, but it isn't really all that germane to the theme. The idea is that you're trying to build the best garden, and they use the Three Sisters plants as part of that garden, but that's about all there is to it. There's nothing specifically about the indigenous people or anything like that. The way the game plays, it's pretty interesting. It is one of the sort of what you call a meaty roll and write. In particular, it's a meaty roll and write of the cascading bonuses style. Something like Hadrian's Wall or apparently Fleet the Dice game both use this kind of model where you're checking off boxes, and those boxes give you bonuses that you get to do other things. The other roll and write that I've played that is of this style is the Imperial Settlers, the roll and write. But so this one, you have 2 sheets. Each player gets 2 sheets. You get a garden sheet, which is divided up into 6 garden areas and the spaces for your perennial plants. And then you have a secondary sheet that's got your shed on it. It's got your apiary, or where your beehive is. It's got your fruit trees and your compost heap and your goods track. So there's lots of different areas where there's all sorts of different checkboxes. There's probably easily 300 little checkboxes on these 2 sheets. I don't think that's an overestimation. Well, anyway, the way the game works, there's a sort of action rondelle, and you roll dice, and the dice get placed on the rondelle based on their size, and then players take turns picking from the rondelle. When you take a die, its value lets you water somewhere in the garden, and the space you're taking it from gives you one of the actions on the board. And like I said, the whole idea is that you're sort of setting up these chains of combos so that when certain things happen, when you complete certain things, that'll give you a bonus that triggers another bonus that triggers another bonus, and you get this kind of cascade. I played the game twice solo and then once with my wife. All 3 games I enjoyed. My solo play, I did pretty poorly. My first solo play, I did pretty poorly. The little chart in the back says if you get 39 points or fewer, too bad. Hopefully you'll do better next time. That was kind of and I got 39 points. So my first play, I did so badly that I got the worst score. My second play, however, I got close to top of the the chart. And then my third play with my wife, I got well over 100 points. So it's not a game that's really that hard to sort of lean into. Based on my first couple plays, I'm a little worried that it's going to get kind of samey. The cascading bonuses and cascading effects are pretty fun, but the board is the same every time. So I would imagine you'd get into this, you'd sort of find the optimal path for yourself and lean into it. I tried on my second game, the one with my wife, I tried some different of the tools, which give you different bonuses, and those were nice too. But I don't know, the set of sort of bonuses that you get from, say, getting extra actions out of your compost heap, and the set of bonuses that you get from, say, getting fruit actions when you harvest to something, or getting an apiary action every time you take a shed action or something. It sort of feels like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know. It was all right. Like I said, I liked it. I'm looking forward to playing it some more. I have trouble seeing this being a game where I'm going to want to play it 30 times or 40 times, or a game that's going to sort of become a forever game. It certainly is interesting, and it might be the kind of game that would be fun to play once every couple months. That said, I also, it did come with this sort of advanced module, the weather module, which I haven't even opened yet. So after a couple more plays, maybe we'll open that up and give that a try, see how much that adds to the experience. So sort of middling review after 3 plays. Looking forward to trying it more. Definitely keeping it in the collection for a while, but I'm worried it'll feel kind of samey. So that's Three Sisters from Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle. All right, going on to the second game. The second game I picked up when I was in Indianapolis with my daughter for a swim meet. We stopped by the Game Preserve, which was a fantastic game shop with an incredible selection. They had, I would say, 4 or 5 different products that I seriously considered buying. I told myself I would only get one, so I ended up getting Llamaland by Phil Walker Harding, and published by Lookout Games. So Llamaland is the latest tetraomino or polyomino game from Phil Walker Harding. I guess you could kind of say Barren Park and Gingerbread House are sort of in a series, and Llamaland would be the newest one. Now, Gingerbread House, all the tiles that you're taking are domino style, so they're not polyominoes. Barren Park, you're only ever making one layer of tiles. So Llamaland, in some ways, kind of lands between the two, because you are building up layers of tiles, but you're also using polyomino, like weird mix of shapes, rather than just the pairs of squares that you get with Gingerbread House. Like Gingerbread House, in Llamaland, when you cover up something on one of your tiles, you get that thing, and then you're going to use those things to buy llamas, which are ultimately the points you're going for in the game. Like Barren Park, you have different goals that you're racing for, and the speed that you get them is going to give you your points, because there are an assorted number of different llamas that like different foods. So you could get a potato llama or a corn llama, and the first person to take a potato llama gets the most valuable one in terms of points. The second person would get one that's slightly fewer points, and so on. So as the game goes along, the llamas become worth fewer and fewer points. The thing that I found most interesting about it were the objective cards. So there are, in a 4-player game, I think there's 6 objective cards that are out. And on your turn, when you're expanding your land, because you can either expand out or you could build up. When you build up, then you're allowed to buy a llama. When you expand out, you're allowed to change the objective that you're aiming for. So there's a nice give and take there as well. The objectives, like I said, there are 6 of them, and you have these 4 little markers, and you can put a marker on an open space on an objective. So the first person to put a marker on an objective, it's now worth the most points for them at the end of the game. But of course, you have to do that right away at the beginning of the game, which means that early in the game, you're kind of locked into your goal. If you decide later on you can't make that goal and you want to move that token, you're going to end up with a much lower value for whatever objective you move it to. So that's an interesting little gambit that you have to start. You have to kind of lean into something right away at the beginning. But you're putting your marker on these goals, and then at the end of the game, you get points based on where your marker is on these goal cards. I thought Llamaland was interesting, definitely fun, definitely want to play it again. I like it quite a bit. But I would put it very similar to Gingerbread House in terms of weight, that it does demand some planning, it does demand some thinking, but ultimately I saw it kind of on the lighter end of things. My wife, however, found it really difficult, which I thought was an interesting twist. She's played Barren Park, she's played Gingerbread House. And I definitely thought she thought Llamaland was much closer to Barren Park in terms of weight rather than Gingerbread House, which I consider very light. Llamaland is marked as a family game in the lookout line. And it is super cute. The little llamas that you get, which you're going to place on your board, and that you get points based on how you place llamas on your board, those are very cute. All in all, it's a lovely production and a game I'm happy to have. You know, in the arc of time, will this game supplant either Gingerbread House or Barren Park? Definitely not Barren Park. Maybe Gingerbread House, but I could totally see, like, in the winter months when we feel like playing a Phil Walker Harding game, we break out Gingerbread House. In the summer months, when we feel like playing a Phil Walker Harding game, maybe we break out Llamaland. Because for me, they're very similar, but Gingerbread House feels wintry to me. Maybe Llamaland is summery. I will point out one other thing. Llamaland, like Altiplano, takes place in Argentina, in the upper remote areas of Argentina. It is about llama farming and the people there. But it's unclear to me whether anything was done to make sure that this is a good representation of those people. The art is very stylized, which it's hard for me to know how people from those areas feel about it. And of course, there's always something to be said for, you know, taking a place and having that place be a theme, being made by people who aren't from those places. So I'm a little iffy on the theme in terms of its cultural sensitivity. It's not clear to me how people from Argentina would feel about Llamaland. So it'd be interesting to me just to see how that was received by people there. So that's my initial thoughts on Llamaland. If you like those other games, Barren Park and Gingerbread House, I think you would like Llamaland. Whether or not you would like it enough to have it replace one of those other games, I don't know. Maybe watch some videos online or somebody who's going to do a more thorough review than I will. That's Llamaland from Phil Walker Harding. I will say thanks to the Shuffle Buddies podcast and the So Very Wrong About Games podcasts, both of which had discussions of Llamaland and led me to think, oh yeah, this is probably a good fit for me. All right, on to my third game, and this is shooting from the hip triple shot, and this is Reiner Knizia's Equinox. Now, I did not buy Equinox. I borrowed it from a friend and tried it out with my family. Equinox is apparently a reprinting or a re-implementation of an older game from Reiner Knizia. I don't know what that game is, but this game is beautiful. It's from Plan B Games, who always make beautiful games. They published Azul, they published Bees, they published Century, and in every case, the game package itself is just lovely. And that's the case with Equinox as well. You get these really neat sort of either stone pebbles or faux stone pebbles that you're going to use to do your bidding, and just lovely character art for what is essentially an abstract game, an abstract race game. So, or character elimination, I'm not sure. So the idea is in Equinox, you have these 8 characters that are competing for the title of, I don't know, magical creature who's in charge of the forest. And each round, people are playing cards on these different characters to give them strength. And if at any point all 8 characters have a strength card on them, and one of them is the lowest strength, that character's out, and you go on to the next round. And now that character is out, and any cards that you have from that character are dead. And now you're playing strength cards on the remaining 7 until one of them is out. Then there's 6, then there's 5, then there's 4. You go until there's only 3 characters left. Now, also during the game, in the first round you're allowed to do it, and then every round after that you can make bets as well. You're making bets on which characters you think will make it through to the end of the game. And the points that you get from your bets determine whether you win or not. And the earlier you make a bet on a character, the more points you're going to get for it. But of course, it's harder to determine. Now, you can make these secret bets that are the most valuable, but to do that, you have to give up a card, which gives you less control over the creature. It also prevents you from using that creature's special power. And this is the thing that I think is really neat about the game. Each creature has a special power. If you have the most public bets on that creature, you get to use its power when you play a card to it. But that also gives your opponents motives to take that character out. We played this once, my mom, my wife, and I, and boy, did my wife hate this game. She specifically said, I don't like betting games, which isn't a thing I'd really heard her say before, but I guess in retrospect, yes, I can see that in terms of which games she tends to like and not like. And the very direct player competition here, the idea that the way you win is by just taking out the cards that your opponents want really does not suit my preferred style of play. Like, I don't feel good playing a card that takes out the thing my opponent is trying to win with, and that's how you win with this game. So from that perspective, I found it was not my favorite. The art is beautiful. The gameplay is interesting. I think it's probably the sort of game where it's a really good light to middleweight, very fighty game, but definitely not my cup of tea, at least for my family. I could certainly enjoy this if I were playing with a group of people at a game night and we all knew this is what we're doing and we know we're just going to be fighting tooth and nail. If you know that's what it is going in, I could imagine myself having fun with this. But given the normal state of my preferred gaming, this won't be a game I'll play again. I'll return it to a friend without having played it a second time. So that's Equinox from Reiner Knizia and Plan B Games. What games have been new to your table lately? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and join us in the comments, where I'd love to hear what you've tried out and what you think of it. If you'd like to send me a direct message, you can email me, brendan@rattleboxgames.com, or send me a direct message on Board Game Geek. Wombat929 is my username. I'm also playing lots of asynchronous games as usual. If you'd like to play a game with me, send me a message on Board Game Arena, yukata.de, or Boitaju. In all three cases, my name is Wombat929 there. In fact, you don't even need to send me a message. Just send me a game invite. I'll play whatever game it is. If I haven't played it before, I'll skim the rules. As I've mentioned before, though, however, if I'm learning a game online, I'm not going to be very good at it the first time. So unlike playing at the table, where I will have a full grasp of the rules when we play, playing online, I play until I think I understand, and then I just poke stuff and see what happens. So hopefully I'll get to play a game with you soon. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll hope to hear from you on the Board Game Geek forums in Guild 3269. Until then, thanks for joining me on my walk today. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.